Let's apply to Mount Hood Community College. We'll start at the Oregon Goes to College website, and from the College Info menu, select Apply to College. That'll take us to a page that has some really great information about things that you can do to prepare before you apply, including a list of information that you'll need to have on hand when you submit your application, and some tips for things that you can do as you go through the process. We know that we're applying to Mount Hood and already have all of our information available and ready to go. So we're going to continue to scroll down to the list of colleges and choose Mount Hood Community College. When we click on this link, it will take us to Mount Hood's website, to the admissions page there, where we have the choice of the type of application that we'll be submitting. Because our plan is to be a new student after we graduate from high school, we're going to choose the general admission application. On this page, I have the option to start filling out a new application, or if I'd already started and had been interrupted and wasn't able to finish in the first setting, the college probably would have sent me a passcode or a key, and I would use that to go back to my application and start where I left off. But I haven't started the application yet, and so I'm going to click here to start filling out this application. When I do, I arrive at a page that is the application itself and lets me know that there are going to be multiple sections. Looks like 5 pages worth of questions that I'll be answering, and so let's go ahead and get started. The first question is asking me my first name and has a little note that this is a required question. There's an asterisk and it tells me that it's required. So anything that has an asterisk next to it is a question that I'm going to be required to answer. My first name is Olivia. Remember when typing on an official application to use capital letters where appropriate. Middle name is not a required question. I know that because there's no asterisk. However, because I have a middle name, I am going to provide it. That allows the college to connect any other documentation that they might get about me to this application. The more information they know about who I am with respect to my name and other identifying information, the easier it is for them to connect those pieces of information together. So I want to be helpful to them. My last name is Miller, and so I'll provide that there. If I had something like junior or senior or second or third after my name, I would include that here under the suffix. I don't have that, so I won't include it, but if you do, you should definitely include it for the same reason as we would include the middle name. When a college asks me to list my previous names, they mean what are my other legal names. Remember that above here I was entering my legal names. Those are names that might appear on my birth certificate, my high school transcript, my driver's license if I had one, my legal name. And in this section they're asking me if I have any previous or former legal names. I might have something like that if I, for example, had been adopted, if I was married and changed my name, or some other reason that I legally changed my name. If I have a previous legal name, I'll want to enter that here. I don't, so I'm going to leave it blank. Social Security number, in this case, is also optional. It's optional because I don't need a Social Security number in order to be able to attend Mount Hood Community College. However, and this is a big however, if I plan to apply for federal financial aid and I have a Social Security number, then I should provide that here. I will be required to provide it if I apply for financial aid and for federal financial aid, and it is much easier to enter it at this stage than it is to come back and enter it later. So I have that and I'm going to enter it now. There's a clue here for the format that they want me to use, and so I'm going to go ahead and use that format as I enter my Social Security number. My birth date is a required question, and so I'm going to enter that here. I can enter it by hand using this date format, or I can select the calendar. And when I do that, I was born in January of 2003 and on the 1st of the month. I am required to provide my gender, and so I'll do that. Questions about race and ethnicity are not required. I'm going to choose to answer them. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you certainly are welcome to do so. For me, yes, I am Hispanic or Latino, and I will choose white for my race. If I had chosen 2 or more races in this drop-down menu, as you can see that option there, then it would ask me to select the boxes that I would like to choose in this case. Because I already chose a box or a category, I don't need to select a box. Mount Hood is interested in knowing about languages, my first language. And so the language that I learned or spoke prior to my turning 10. For me, that was English, and so I'm going to choose that. If for you it was Spanish or Russian or another language, you can choose the appropriate one here. My mother's maiden name. This is another question that is not required. Maiden name is the name that your mother had when she was born, her last name when she was born. In my case, my mother's maiden name is Johnson, and so I'm going to choose that here. My phone number is a required question, and so I am going to enter that now, and my phone number here in the format that they are asking for it, and my email address. Remember, this is the email address that I'm using for all of my college information, and so and it's the one that I'm going to be checking on a regular basis as I go through the process of applying to college. This question, did either of your parents earn a 4-year degree, is asking about parents' education attainment, and this is another required question. For me, the answer is no. Neither of my parents receives a bachelor's degree or higher. Now I get to the bottom, I've finished the first page, and I'm ready to move on to the next page. If I needed to take a break, I could save and finish later, and that's when I would get that passcode or key mentioned at the beginning, and I would enter that later to come back to this same page and move on from here. But I'm ready to keep going, so we're going to go to the next page. I'm going to enter my address. My address here, the first line of my address is this, and that's my street address. And then I have an apartment number, which is 121, so I'm going to add that there. That's in Corvallis in Oregon, and the zip code. Residency status is required. This is to help us determine, or to help the college determine, whether or not they need to charge me in-state or out-of-state tuition. So if I've lived in Oregon for 90 days, at least 90 days prior to the first term, I will be charged in-state tuition, and so I need to answer that question so they know how much to charge me. Yes, I will have been there. I've lived in Oregon my whole life. And this is a question, now they want to know where I am a permanent resident of, which state, and I am a permanent resident of Oregon. As I said, I've lived here all of my life. And I am ready to go on to the next page. This next page is about my enrollment data. So this is information about what I plan to do at Mount Hood Community College. I plan to enroll in the fall, so the fall following my high school graduation. And what year do I plan to do that? I will be graduating in 2021, and so I'm going to be entering college in the fall of 2021. I do need to choose an intended major, but if I'm not entirely certain what I would like to study, I can say that I'm undecided and I'm going to do a little bit of exploring. If I know what I want to study, there is a link to a list of programs, and I can find the different options that are available to me there. I'm not entirely sure what I want to study, so I'm going to choose undecided. That's perfectly okay, and I'm going to do that there. Have I previously taken any college, now dual credit, credit recovery, community education, or otherwise attended Mount Hood Community College? I have not, so I'm going to say no. I have attended a dual credit class through Lynn Benton Community College, so I'm going to go ahead and say yes there. And I plan to be a first-time freshman. So I plan to be the first time entering Mount Hood. I am not a U.S. veteran, so I'm going to choose no because this is a required course. If I was a veteran, I would choose yes, but I'm not, so I'll say no and move on to the next page. We're moving right along. We're in section 4 of 5, so almost to the end. And this is a section about our high school, where I attend high school. So I'm to select the high school that I attend. The first question is, what state did I do that in? And as you know, that's Oregon. And that little blip that happened was the system loading a list of Oregon high schools. And so I can do a search here. I went to Corvallis High School, and so these are in alphabetical order, and these are all of the high schools in the state, and I can choose Corvallis High School this way. I expect to earn my high school diploma and be a high school graduate, so I'll choose that, and I expect to do that in 2021. I don't take any AVID courses, but if you do, you should choose yes here. But I didn't, so I won't, and I'll move on to the next page, which is the last page. And on this page, the question is, or the last section, do I plan to earn a degree or certificate or diploma at Mount Hood? And the answer is yes. I'm hoping to earn a 2-year degree. What is the highest level of education or training I've received beyond high school? At this point, I haven't done any, and so I'm going to say none. My main reason for attending Mount Hood Community College is because I think I'd like to transfer to a 4-year college. And I don't believe that I will be employed full-time or at all while attending classes this term, so I'm going to go ahead and say not employed. Now, I'm very close to being finished, and I can click on the next page button. And this is an opportunity for me to review my information to make sure that I've entered everything correctly. So I'll take some time to scroll through this and check to make sure that everything that I entered was accurate and correct. And it looks like it is. And so I need to provide an email address to let them know where I submitted my application, or where I'd like them to provide me some information to acknowledge that I've gotten it, that I've submitted my application. So I'll enter my email address here one last time, and they will send me an acknowledgement that they do in fact have my application in hand, and I can then click submit and go check my email in a day or two to determine that yes, in fact, they have my application, and I'm done. Congratulations, I've completed a college application, and when you get through this process, you will have too. Good work.